Dabu knows what's going on. He's a little out there sometimes, but hey, we all need to fucking correct ourselves. And hey, I've been following this guy for freaking almost I'd say around 7 years. Solid. Take care, be safe, be kind, stay strong. Love you all. But everything is kind of shifting, and there's pressure points. The activity, and especially because when we're fracking and taking away oil from the ground and stuff, because there's hydrostatic pressure. Hold on a second. Fluid statics, or hydrodynamics, is a branch of fluid mechanics that studies fluids at rest and the pressure in a fluid or exerted by a fluid on an immense body. Well, being that fluids aren't compressible, even though there are such things, all real things, all real fluids are compressible. I mean, it's kind of like one of those points or stupid things, right? Like, just miscalculation. Anyways, and so compressible fluids, all real fluids are compressible, and almost all fluids expand when heated. Compression waves can propagate in most fluids. These are the familiar sound waves in the audible frequency range and ultrasounds at high frequencies. Maybe I'm trying to beat a dead horse here. Alright, profound pressure. Diagrams are always good. So hydraulic pressure. The water's plastic. Why is okay, got my brush back. I know this is a poor image, but the water is coming down, and so gravity is putting pressure because this builds up, and that's why submarines and submersible vessels are measured in atmospheres. Well, even a space station. Well, there is no atmosphere for the technically between Earth and the Moon there is an atmosphere, and throughout all of space there's it's not a complete vacuum. It is not a complete vacuum, or else it would have blown up by now. But shit. Anyways, shit. Here, let me get away from this. So it's hydraulic pressure, hydrostatic pressure. So, okay. Understanding. No. What the fuck? Let's go back to this diagram. So, what's happening with this? what's happening with this faucet is, or this side, is that the water is coming out as fast as it's leaving. And so it's kinetic. Because it's flowing. Whereas here, the water flowing is moving faster than it can spew out, and so there's this volume of water that really isn't doing anything, but it's pressing down on here, and well, that's why it's getting more push to the outside. Like, the water is still coming out like the same as both spigots. It's just that this one has more weight. It's like putting a sandbag on your chest and having to breathe. It gets, what was that called in the, what was that, the some witch trial days and stuff? Like brick and loading or some crap like that. But this is essentially how dams work. Excuse me. Because there's little pressure on this guy, but all of a sudden there's a big rainstorm, and that's why we have to release the floodgates, and to relieve the pressure and stuff. And the thing is that it has to be protected because, there's restraint here. Here's like a normal day at the dam, and here, that's a normal day at the dam, and this is a bad day, like when it's flooding and stuff, and you release the pressure valve just a bit too late. Just to illustrate,
I'm going to briefly explain what hydrostatic pressure is. What is hydrostatic pressure? Well, it's just the measurement of the height of a fluid times the density of that fluid. So in this example, we have a container that's 12 feet high, and its density or specific gravity is 1. You would just multiply 12 feet times your density, and you would end up getting 144 inches H2O. This is all thanks to our good friend Pascal's principle, which states that in fluid mechanics, a pressure change occurring anywhere in a confined incompressible fluid is transmitted throughout the fluid, such that the same change occurs everywhere. Alright, well, I hope that was helpful, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the links below, and have a good one.
That guy freaking did a good job on that video. You see what happens here? See, what I'm thinking is happening with this whole freaking fracking issue is that they understand that, hey, if we take out this freaking, trillion barrel of gallon, cavity of fluid from the earth, the land is going to sink. And that's going to cause changes. Right? It only makes sense. And so, because you look at some of these petroleum engineers, they're freaking paid big bucks to think the way I do. And the thing is that they create this hydraulic fracking fluid, which, well, it's supposed to get the most benefit, get the most out of the mine material. And it's just like freaking, oh, well, gold miners back in the day, like freaking, oh, it's just dirt. They ruin tributaries and, waterways and starved out towns and everything of that nature just because of mining waste. And what's happening is this fluid that they're trying to put in there, it's not well, it's soluble within the ground, whereas the oil, it had a certain amount of density, pressure. Like it had a certain amount of mass. Like it was able to. It was a working fluid. It just like and that's the thing is that the the earth works. It's like a wheel bearing in a car. There needs to be some grease, to keep everything spinning. This is a fucking machine. The earth is a fucking machine. And people are not treating the machine the appropriate way. And I'll just leave it at that. Take care, be safe, be kind, stay strong. Love you all.